We're in the final stretch now for Starfield. The big reveal should just be about 6 weeks away, and to hold us over, Bethesda as well as the community have been sharing some Starfield updates and new details. Some of these, of course, being official and proper from Bethesda, some of these being newly leaked images of the game, and what I think is actually one of the most interesting is an update you may have missed, or you may have seen but not realized why this could be more significant than you realize. The most recent drop came earlier today with a third episode of Into the Starfield. This being Bethesda's miniseries looking at various components of Starfield and kind of going in depth with the devs on them. This one is a nice talk about the score and sound design of Starfield overall, with a few quotes that really stood out to me as important, and these actually being perhaps some of the most important quotes we've gotten from the series thus far.
Our sense of scale had to be totally readjusted in making a game on a planetary surface as we've always done before, and now where you have these very vast distances against this black starry background.
This quote on the vast distances being covered in Starfield is pretty interesting to me for a couple of reasons. We of course know that the game will be big. Space is big, and going to different planets can start to feel pretty massive pretty quickly. But when they mention traversing across vast distances across a black starry background, it really makes you think of spaceflight, and specifically with Starfield, manual spaceflight. There's been a big debate between people who think the game will have manual spaceflight, as in full-on player-controlled spaceship flight, and then those who don't, because it's a Bethesda game and vehicles have never really been a thing. Unless of course you count horses in Skyrim, but that's really all we have. But if we actually get the opportunity to truly and properly travel across a black starry background, that would definitely imply that manual spaceflight's a thing. The alternative would be something more like what you have in the Outer Worlds, where you kind of just teleported from point A to point B. You never get to experience the actual process of being in space. But also what I think is actually a bit more interesting is when you tie this quote together with a few of the other quotes from this video.
You go out, you adventure, discover, return.
Yes, there is always the strive to go back home.
It is a blank canvas and a massive playground, and all the pieces are there for you to write your own story.
And even just some of the concept art, and I think this starts to paint a pretty clear picture for me as to what the experience in Starfield will be like. That discussion of going out and adventuring, but then returning, or how there is this vast world that can be used as your canvas. I think this is really starting to get to the core of what Starfield is going to be as a gameplay experience. When you look at the concept art shared for this game holistically, or even if we just take a microcosm of the ones shown in this video, and yes, these are all the ones that were shown in this video, that's what you're seeing in the background, the thing that stands out to me immediately, especially compared to other Bethesda games, is the sheer diversity in these environments. We have foreign space dunes, caverns to explore, space colonies being set up but in their early stages, and even just scary, spooky swamps. They're basically hitting all of the various environments and biomes with this concept art thus far, going from full sea planets to things that look much more industrialized. And then of course, what I think will be a core of the gameplay experience is all of these in the middle. We know in Starfield, we're a part of Constellation. We are an explorer. And between, again, the quotes here as well as this concept art, it just feels like to me, a lot of this gameplay is going to be going out and discovering a new and unique place, and then returning from that place to somewhere that we built up, whether it be a settlement. We're going to look at some leaked images later on that definitely looks like it could be something that is player built or using a settlement system and very modular, or even maybe our spaceship kind of acts as a character, similar to how it was again in the Outer Worlds, as a hub that we return to constantly. But either way, as I look at these images, as I look at how people who have actually seen the game talk about it, it really seems like a core of this gameplay is going to be the experience you have in a wide variety of new and unique locations, and actually experiencing quite a few of them to a degree we have never yet seen in a Bethesda game. One of the other things to come out recently that I found to be very interesting is this Vasco video. The video itself is pretty simple, just a minute or so long, going over the design of Vasco as well as some of the design process and how he actually exists, the choices they've made. But what is interesting about this particular video to me is Bethesda didn't actually break the news here. IGN did, with a video and article going up at exactly 10 a.m. 10 a.m. being a time Bethesda very much so likes to post things or teasers, which is striking to me because although the video is relatively minor and honestly kind of forgettable, it definitely seems like IGN got this a bit early, almost like a small or short exclusive. Bethesda did post up their own article, but again, it wasn't first. IGN definitely seemed like they had early access here. Considering this video is incredibly minor and barely gives us any new information, you would think this partnership between IGN and Bethesda would extend beyond just this video. It seems very odd if their whole exclusive agreement is just this one very tiny video. So perhaps IGN will actually have more exclusives in the future. We could see another Todd Howard interview like we had in 2019. I actually think that is very likely. Maybe some exclusive hands-on with Starfield around E3 time, or just getting more looks at gameplay. And as an aside, I do wonder what role Vasco actually plays. In the video, he is described as a companion. When asked if there will be a robot companion in Starfield, Todd Howard said, yes, kind of. How can you kind of be a robot companion? This is one of those quotes that perhaps I'm just obsessing over, but I'm very confused by. What larger or smaller role does Vasco play that means he perhaps isn't a true and pure companion? Why isn't the answer to this question just a simple yes? What else is Vasco doing, or is he just not a full-fledged companion? We don't know the answer to that, at least not yet, but in 6 weeks' time, we should be getting a full deep dive on Starfield. Before that though, we do have some more leaked pictures that recently came out around the project. These images are part of the exact same batch we got earlier on. All of these came in one big leak in 2020 that a few people have privately had. And what we've been seeing on the public side is a trickle of these images being released to the public, not new and additional leaks occurring. We get a look at a familiar test planet with what look like some modularly built structures. This definitely gives me a settlement building vibe, and perhaps in Starfield it's going to be full-on colony building. Definitely looks like we'll go to some uncolonized areas, and having that opportunity as a player to build up and colonize them ourselves seems like a natural extension of Fallout 4's settlement system. As well as we get a look at this overview, and fun fact, this is actually the picture to inspire the popular ladder meme for Starfield. When this originally leaked to a private group, this looked like a ladder, and considering Bethesda Game Studios has never been able to pull off ladders in their games, it became an immediate joke that, wow, they are actually pulling off ladders in Starfield. This became a meme, it was shared with the community, and now there's a ladder meme. Except it's not actually a ladder, as when you zoom in, it looks like it's a couple of pipes. So this ladder meme was based off a lie until we got the E3 trailer that confirmed ladders are actually a thing, kind of. Overall, when it comes to Starfield right now, I find ourselves to be in an incredibly interesting situation. When we looked at E3 2021 and we got that full-on trailer, well, teaser trailer that actually leaked hours early, thanks Washington Post, I really thought Bethesda would have more to say in the ensuing year. But now as we find ourselves almost 11 months later, they've said very little about Starfield. Yeah, sure, we've had things here or there, lots of concept art, lots of names of cities or factions, but if you actually look concretely at what we know right now and what we'll probably know in just 2 months' time, right now we know basically nothing. I'm sure a lot of the information or speculation we currently have will just be replaced or overlapped by what's new. Not to say this is a bad thing, obviously I'm not a marketing professional, it's just an interesting observation. We still know basically nothing about this game despite the short teasers they're giving out here or there, which makes it all the more exciting that in just a little over a month in early June, we should be finding out a lot more, although technically we still have no confirmation as to what Microsoft and Bethesda are doing instead of E3. Although considering last year we only found out about Microsoft's E3 at the end of May, I wouldn't be shocked if it's around a similar time we find out about what they're doing this year. With that said, those are my thoughts. That's a breakdown of some of the recent Starfield news. Hopefully you guys found this one informative. But with that, I thank you all for watching again, and I hope to see you all next time. Later.